Hello.
Hi.
Courtney.
Good morning.
This is Hayden.
Hi, Mr. Hayden.
He's
He's gonna watch Mickey Mouse, maybe.
Oh boy.
We'll see. If I jump up during the meeting, you'll know something crazy is going on. I have to rescue the dogs or Hayden. I told you I was gonna be on meeting. You can see my friends.
Don't have a football.
Well, I don't think they're gonna play football right now. I'll wait and see some more people. So good morning.
Little pig.
You gonna watch Peppa Pig?
Little pig.
Okay.
Little pig.
You can watch Peppa Pig. I think Mickey Mouse is on right now.
Little pig.
You want me to put on Peppa Pig?
Hey, Miss Mary, how are you?
Hey, good. How are you? Say
Good.
hi to Marley. This is Hayden.
Hey, Hayden. You about to watch some Peppa Pig?
She knows Peppa Pig.
Are you kidding me? We have so many Peppa Pig characters in this house. My kids try to talk in the Peppa Pig accent, like a British accent. I have my husband's like, what are you doing to these children? Well, it's 10 o'clock. I don't know if you wanted to, for me to call roll, and then you could welcome and do the virtual meeting protocols and all that.
Hold on.
Hi.
Hi, buddy.
What?
Hey, Mom.
Oh, wait. I probably took it off speaker. Maybe that's why I can't hear him.
No, we can hear you. So, Miss Mary, do you want me to call roll? Are you ready?
Okay. I'm on my phone,
Okay.
so I can't, after we start the meeting, I can't see who is on the call. So will you be able to monitor it for me, Marlon?
Yeah. Do you want me to call roll?
I did something with the volume. Yes, if you'll call roll, that would be perfect.
Okay, great. Nicole
Well,
Banks,
I can hear now.
I'm here.
Melissa Bayham,
I'm here.
Carmen Setnar, Brenda Kose, so I'll just call Miss Brenda again at the end. Maybe she stepped away. Mitch Iddens, Sammy Polizzola, Chris Rodriguez,
Here.
Mary Tarver,
Here.
Tamisha Saunier,
Here.
Tamisha Victorian. Sorry about that. Dr. Phil Wilson,
I'm standing in for Phil today, Sue Killam.
hey Miss
I'm
Sue,
sitting in.
and Dr. Sarah Fletcher.
Here.
And Miss Brenda, are you back yet? Well, it actually looks like even without Miss Brenda, we actually do have a quorum. And it looks like Mitch Iddens maybe just popped
Oh.
on.
Okay, thank
Isn't that
y'all
crazy?
very, very much. Well, I appreciate y'all changing dates and times. This is not normally the week. I think that we have our council meetings, but I'll be out of town next week, so I appreciate it. And I want to welcome everybody, and we will get started. The agenda was sent out, and there is a summary from our February the 10th meeting. If anybody would like to make a motion to approve it.
This is Mitch. I'll make the motion to approve it.
Hey, Mitch, thanks.
Hey,
And a second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Sarah. All right, well, we will get started with the business today and ask Dr. Sarah Fletcher. She'll give an update from Louisiana Department of Education.
Yes, of course. Thanks for letting me go first. I am going to have to jump off at the end of the meeting, so I appreciate you moving the agenda around for me. Just wanted to go through some quick updates. We did find out that the state was ranked 7th for in-person instruction, according to a national survey. So around the country, it seems like schools in Louisiana have been able to meet back in person more than in other places, which is really good news. We also have released some guidance for lots of programs that can be done to help students catch up with any of the lost learning that might have happened this school year, and also release some guidance related to spending pandemic-related funds. And that's found in the Pandemic Relief Guidance and Resources Library. I wanted to give you a quick update on the IDA budget application. So we're currently still within the public comment period for our draft of the IDA budget application for the next federal fiscal year. And this, as you're probably aware, just outlines how we're planning to spend, funding in 15 different categories. But we do know that we're expecting to get more money through the American Rescue Package, but we have not gotten those final allocations yet. And so when we received those, we were given guidance from the federal government to post the draft budget with our allocations from last year. And once we receive the final allocations, to immediately update the draft on the website, which is still our plan. But we have to date not yet received those final allocations. So you can find the current, what we have posted currently on our website. And we'll make sure to note very clearly when we do update the draft. I wanted to also give you an update about SIR enhancements. Some of you may have heard me talk about this in other places, but we're really excited. And I'm not sure how much any of you interact with the SIR platform, but this is a really important way for school systems across Louisiana to maintain special education records. And so this is the warehouse where, so if a student moves from one school system to another, the records can follow them, and this really is where IEPs are held. And we are in the process of making several updates to the system, the first of which is going to roll out this summer and be implemented for the next school year. And it's about the our triennial reevaluation and waiver process. And so right now, every 3 years, students get a reevaluation. Sometimes that evaluation is waived, and the way a waiver has looked in the past has varied widely around the state. And so what we've done is created, and we run a pilot this year with 24 school systems around the state to use the platform to ensure that some basic information about every student is updated every 3 years so that IEP teams have the best and most up-to-date information possible when they're making decisions about services for students. And so we're really excited about that. And it is going to be a big change. And it may change the way evaluations come to families. It may look more like what a traditional IEP looks like. It's going to print out kind of in the same format, but it'll clearly say reevaluation on the top, and it'll have lots of student records and history right there for everyone to make sure they have the most up-to-date information. And then so that's going to roll out for this coming school year. And at the same time, we are still working on major SIR enhancements. The platform, I don't think, has really undergone any significant upgrades in probably 15 years. And so we're working on the architecture of the system to bring it up to 2021 and make sure that it's user-friendly, and also creating some rules in there to encourage best practice. And so we want to make sure that's aligned with the policy that we have. I am really excited about this. I think it'll be really transformative because I know that every adult that works with students with disabilities around the state in school systems uses SIR. And so I think this is going to be a really interesting tool to drive best practice. The other updates I have are about Bedfellow Academy. We're about to, I think, open application, or I guess we just opened the applications for the upcoming school year. This is for novice special education leaders around the state. So SPED coordinators, SPED directors, if they're new to their role, they get paired with a mentor and just get training and get to work with them around the year. So the application it opened on April 12th and it'll close on May 14th. And we also have some seat panel vacancies coming up. Seat panel members serve 3-year terms. And so the appointments are staggered so that a third of the membership rolls off every year. And I think that the vacancies are going to be posted to the website very, very shortly. And then we'll be accepting applications for 30 days. We'll do interviews in May and then make appointments in June. And then some other news from the department is that there's a Fast Forward initiative, which the department awarded 8 regional planning grants to recipients who, this is designed to increase the number of high school graduates who earn an associate's degree or participate in a high demand apprenticeship before graduation. And so these grants are really about planning that path. So the very early stages here, but I do think, and you can see, I think the regional planning grant recipients are Assumption Parish, DeSoto, East Baton Rouge, Jefferson Parish, Rapides, Richland, St. Landry, and Vernon Parish. And so they'll have planning grants to see how they can roll this out in their school system. And so I'm excited to see where that goes, because I do think it could have good implications for students with disabilities in the way that they graduate. And those are the updates I have, but I'm happy to take your questions.
All right. Does anybody have any questions for Sarah? I know she'll have to leave the meeting shortly, so I want to give everybody opportunity if there's any Department of Education questions.
Tamisha has her hand raised, Mary.
Okay, Tamisha.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, Miss Fletcher, I have a few questions. I was trying to keep up while you were going over everything. So forgive me if I restructure something, but with the funding to get that information back to y'all.
I'm sorry, I heard your audio really, yeah, it kind of cut out there. Could you repeat
Can you hear me
that,
now?
please? Okay, that sounds
I'm
better.
sorry. Yes, ma'am. Is a deadline being provided to the entities to get that information about the allocations of where the funding is going? Has that been provided to those entities to say, hey, you have a deadline of, a certain time, so that we're not just, waiting and trying to find out where, funding is going?
So I wish I have been waiting and thinking every day that we're going to get the allocations, and I just keep checking my email, hoping that they're going to show up. I do know that the deadline for our application to be submitted, I think you were talking about the IDA budget, right?
Yes, ma'am.
The deadline for the department to submit the application is May 21st. And so we are waiting on those allocations because we want to update the budget so that we can get that, or we can update the draft so we can make sure our application is finalized prior to the 21st. But I'm waiting and anticipating just like you are. So we haven't been given any more guidance on when those numbers are coming out.
Okay. My next question, if I may ask, you mentioned the waiver systems, coming out this summer and having a new program perspective included in that. Because just to, I guess give some transparency, I just recall, several families mentioning how they really didn't understand when they were, providing information of saying they accepted a waiver. They did not really understand what that meant for their child. So just questioning what was the parent perspective provided for the new system.
Yeah, we have. So it's been an interesting process, and we've been talking to our partners about ensuring that they are getting parent feedback. I think for some of the parents, so I would say, first of all, we created the system so that there would be transparency and so that parents would not be wondering what was happening every 3 years. And so that because sometimes, very honestly, in some places a waiver is just one page with a couple of check marks and a signature. And in other places, a waiver is what would count as a reevaluation in another place. And so that's why we're doing this, is to bring more consistency to this process. And so this will look like, it will look like an IEP. We have, from what I've heard from what parents say, they're like, oh, well, the state, is kind of rolling this new thing out, but we've gotten positive feedback. It looks like an IEP. I think the only thing that might be confusing is that it does look like something that is printed out from SIR. And so the teams have had to be really clear that this is counting as a reevaluation data review. It's not a waiver, it's a reevaluation data review, and it's not an IEP. So but the information is all there. So we've been asking the partners to solicit information, and we've heard good things from parents.
Gotcha. My last question, I'm sorry. The SPED coordinator and director, the mentorship you spoke of, where would those mentors come from? Would that be a virtual situation? And how do y'all plan to, I guess you could say, provide that across the state, knowing there are a lot of rural areas that really need that? And how would that hand-on-hand, mentorship come about?
Great question. So I know that we have a great group of mentors from around the state, and I think people are paired, sort of regionally, but I'm not exactly sure about the specifics. I do know that SPED Fellow Academy has been virtual this year, so I know that they're working closely together. But I can give you my colleague's email address if you'd like to reach out for more information. It's rachel.brown@la.gov. And she can give you all the information about SPED Fellow Academy.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
Of course.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that have any questions?
Mary, there are no more hands raised, and I don't see any comments in the chat.
Courtney has her hand raised.
Oh, I'm sorry, Courtney. I didn't see it. I'm sorry.
That's okay. And it's actually a request, Dr. Fletcher.
Okay, Courtney.
Thank you. Dr. Fletcher, if you would please let us know when those 3 SEEP vacancies have been posted so that we can get that information shared with our council members and with our public as well, please.
I definitely will. Thanks for that reminder.
All right. Is there anything else for Dr. Fletcher? Thank you for joining us today. It helped to get our quorum going, so I appreciate it.
Great, thank you so much.
And then you'll let us know about the stuff that's posted on the website and the IDA
Yeah.
information too.
Yeah.
Good deal. All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Melissa, do you have an update for the Louisiana Rehabilitation Services?
Yes, ma'am. Good morning, everyone. I'm happy to be here with you all. I'll give a couple of updates, and then if y'all have anything else y'all would like me to discuss, I'd be happy to do that. Just kind of an update on our offices. We do remain open. All of our offices are open. Most of them are by appointment, but we're also seeing clients virtually. We're continuing to try to improve our processes. This has really given us an opportunity to get some momentum with our electronic processes. So we have electronic signature pads that we're rolling out to our staff. We also have a new vendor module that we'll be rolling out soon in our AWARE system, which is our case management system, which will just help us to receive information and invoices and things like that from vendors. So we're excited about that. But we're also still trying to get equipment out. Not all of our regions have their laptops yet, but we are working on that. OTS has their priorities, and I think it's been a little bit more difficult right now to get in equipment, but we're hoping soon all of our staff will have laptops in the event that we have to go home again, which hopefully we will not, but so that we'll be more prepared next time, because we had staff going home with desktops, which, as you can imagine, was a little difficult. But we're definitely trying to improve our processes there. Want to give an update on the REDS, which is our Rehabilitation Employment Development Specialist position. We still only have 5. We have 8 regions, and we're trying to get a REDS for each region. But we still have vacancies in Alexandria, New Orleans, and Houma. I think we're actively recruiting, but we've had some difficulty recruiting in those particular regions for some different reasons. We are having difficulty with recruitment of a lot of our positions. Some of it has to do with the level of pay, and we're looking at some different options for that so that we can recruit qualified staff. We still have pending with our legal department some promulgation, but I just wanted to keep it fresh on everyone's minds because we will send it out when the comment period starts. But we are doing some promulgation, and the 2 main things, there's some language that they're cleaning up. When we moved from the Department of Social Services to the Louisiana Workforce Commission, some of that wasn't changed in our rule. But the primary 2 things is our order of selection categories. We have 5 right now. That's our how we prioritize services depending on funding. And we're going from 5 order of selection groups to 3. And then the other major thing, which is actually in effect right now because of an emergency rule, but will be put into the rule permanently, will be the change in our financial needs status. It allows us the capability of going up to 500% of the poverty guidelines for our services based on financial need, whereas before that it was 250%. So that's increasing the amount of individuals that we can serve. Pre-employment transition services, we're still continuing our efforts for statewide for pre-employment transition services. I have 2 individuals who work in that section, Sigmund Morrell and Nicole Miller. And also now we have a program manager, Stacy Marbs, who now manages pre-employment transition services. She's new to management, not new to LRS. Many of you probably know her. She's been the program manager for quality assurance. And now she has taken over the role of program manager for PREETS. So we're still receiving, probably will be receiving for many years, technical assistance from both RSA and the different RSA funded technical assistance centers just to improve our services. We're still looking at some additional things that we might be able to add to our menu for PREETS. just making sure that we do that in a responsible manner. But we want to make sure that everyone has access to these services, and that we have, we don't just want the services out there, we want them to be good and meaningful to these students. So it's a work in progress, but we're still working on that. And the last update, we have also a technical assistance grant where we're receiving some TA with the Office of Behavioral Health in an effort to improve our services to individuals with serious mental illness. So we're going to have some pilot projects in Houma and in Baton Rouge. They're going to be a little bit less intensive than we originally thought. This grant, something happened with it. There was a long period where we weren't able to do any activity. And then when they finally came back and said we could do some activity, they only gave our subject matter experts 10 hours of time. So if you know anything about technical assistance grants, 10 hours is not a lot of time. But we met with some of the LGE, the local governing entity staff, and the LRS staff from these two regions in our first just meeting to kind of discuss how things flow now. And we will receive technical assistance from our subject matter expert who, for those of you who may know him, he's a national consultant, Joe Maroney, just to help improve our processes, expedite processes. He has experience in not only vocational rehabilitation, but in the mental health field. So he is going to be helping us with that. And we're going to have a Zoom in May with LRS, LGE staff, as well as a lot of different mental health providers, just to educate them on what we're doing and just employing individuals with disabilities. Because at the Office of Behavioral Health, not that they haven't done employment before, but it hasn't really been a major emphasis. And they have definitely changed that. And I've been very impressed with the amount of effort that they're putting into this. They recently invited one of my staff to do some IPS training, which is called oh Lord, Sue, help me. I know that what IPS stands for, but I can't tell you at the moment.
Individual placement and support.
I was thinking individual placement, and then I was thinking model. I'm like, well, that's not right. There's an S.
I know you know it.
Sorry about that. So they've been doing some IPS training, and they're really getting their head around this. And it's going to take some time because I think they are going to try to fund some of this, but it's Medicaid, so there's a process there. But they are having the discussions, and they are actively in the process of adding employment as part of their service provision. So very excited about that. So that's all of my updates, but if anybody has any questions or any other topics that I didn't cover that you'd like me to discuss.
Melissa, this is Mitch. I just have a quick question. What order of selection are y'all serving right now?
We're serving 1 through 4, but typically if someone ends up in order selection group 5, recently we've been able to take them off the waiting list. So right now we don't have a waiting list.
And you mentioned that you're going to go from 5 to 3.
Yes.
Is that what you said?
Yes. I can go into detail on that. Do you want me to?
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah.
Not if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah. So right now we have 5, meaning 1 is most significantly disabled, and 5 all the way down to 5, which is non-significantly disabled. But what we have is we have 2 categories. 1 and 2 are most significantly disabled, and 3 and 4 are significantly disabled. And just, I think I briefly said this, but just for any individuals who are not aware, the point of the order of selection is the Rehab Act stipulates that we provide, if we do not have adequate funding, we're supposed to serve individuals with the most significant disabilities first. Mm-hmm. So this order of selection makes sure that that happens. So right now, if you have functional limitations in at least 4 areas, you're in order of selection group 1. The reason really for this RSA, which is the Rehabilitation Services Administration, they really don't like the fact that we have two most significantly disabled categories. And this is directly related to supported employment. We actually received a grant for supported employment, and we actually have separate regulations for the supported employment program. And they just didn't feel good about the fact that potentially you might have individuals who have been determined most significantly disabled and put on a waiting list while other individuals are not. So basically we're just going to collapse 1 and 2 will become 1, and 3 and 4 will become order selection group 2, and then order selection group 5 will become 3. And it'll be easier for the counselors, to be honest with you. But it's just it's really related to supported employment. But like I said, the order selection is simply to control funding or staffing. So if you don't have the funding or the staff, to make sure that you serve the individuals with the very most significant disabilities first. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Nicole has her hand raised.
Okay, so my question is, she said that they had several positions open up in the different parishes, East Baton Rouge, up in Jefferson, and then they said one in Houma. Where are those positions being posted at? Is it on the website, or is it
Let me just clarify two things. So the position, this is actually the one that I was speaking of, is just the Rehabilitation Employment Development Specialist, but I can speak to all of our positions. But those are in Houma, New Orleans, and Alexandria. Now, all of our positions are classified civil service positions, so they're posted on the Louisiana Civil Service website. But we have positions everywhere, to be honest with you. I don't know which ones are open right now, which ones have been closed. But unfortunately, we turn over staff, so we typically have positions available throughout the state.
Okay.
Melissa, are all, you mentioned you had positions statewide. Are those all listed on the civil service website, or?
They are, but like as of right now, like because positions open and close, I don't know. I'd have to go look for you what we have open right now. But I just generally speaking, if you're looking for a job at LRS, just subscribe to the civil service website, and you'll get the notifications.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Melissa, will the information about the supported employment selection order of selection changes be in your, I haven't looked at the reports for the meetings for next week. Will they be in there and be discussed at the council meeting?
I can discuss, or I've discussed order selection before because we've been working on this promulgation for a while now. But if you want me to talk about it again, I can.
Yeah, I would just mention it just in case there's, it seems like it's going to be pretty, significant change. We want to make sure everybody hears it's getting closer.
Just to let everyone know, since it was asked, so right now, we actually have a rehabilitation counselor associate position open in Lake Charles. This is basically a counselor assistant position. And we've been having a lot of, as you can imagine, we've been having a lot of difficulty recruiting in Lake Charles. So if you know anybody, please send them our way. It's a paraprofessional position. And our Alexandria Reds position is currently posted as well. Yes.
Nothing in the Shreveport area, huh?
Currently, no, but I know we will have some upcoming counselor positions in Shreveport.
Thank you.
So Melissa, I had a quick question. I was doing some reading the other day just on kind of the changes that are expected with the Biden administration in contrast to the last 4 years. So I think we may all be familiar with the quote unquote new HCBS rule, which I think was back in 14, which isn't very new anymore. And it's been pushed back and pushed back and pushed back. I think the date now is 2022 that states need to be in line with it. So, obviously a lot of people focus on group homes and things like that, but with respect to sheltered workshops, they fall under the rule as well. Are we, as 2020, kind of quickly approaches, which is pretty wild, has the state done an evaluation on how many of these places exist and to what extent they're utilizing to what extent they are appropriately using or not appropriately using HCBS dollars for the purposes of sheltered workshops, and how they should be transitioning away, and what extent, we're going to be able to be successful in doing that?
I mean, I'm not aware of that. I think that would be OCDD who would have to give you that information. I mean, I can tell you because of Section 511 of WIOA, which is limitations in the use of sub-minimum wage. I expect there have been a lot of talk about that and the elimination of 14C certificates. So I anticipate us receiving a lot more requests related to that rule. But as of right now, I don't know. I can't tell you specifically regarding sheltered workshops, because as you know, we don't place our consumers into sheltered workshops. Right. But we do provide counseling to individuals in sub-minimum wage who want to exit that right. situation.
Yeah, I guess my concern is if we could have or maybe contemplate a meeting between you guys and OCDD, because I think you're absolutely right, Melissa. I think once the state kind of evaluates and realizes if this is going to be a large shift, which it very well may be, you're going to have to, or you're probably going to get an onslaught or a flood of different people at the same time that we may be restricting, order of selection and funds and things like that, just to be prepared for probably what's down the road and what could, possibly to be down the road. Like you said, I have no idea how many exist in the state of Louisiana, which ones need to be, although there should have been a transition plan, a long, long time ago, which, may or may not have taken place. So those are definitely things that I'm thinking of and some of the stuff that we're looking into.
Yeah, that sounds good. I mean, we are working on, we have an ongoing MOU with OCDD and the Office of Behavioral Health. It's one of our WIOA mandates, but it's just obviously a good thing to have. And we're negotiating that right now. There aren't a lot of changes, but one thing, we have things in there, any youth with a disability who is contemplating sub-minimum wage employment they have to go through the VR program first and be determined ineligible. And, one of Rosemary's comments on the document was that OCDD is not going to be allowing sub-minimum wage. So I'm not exactly sure officially where they are on that. But that's obviously going to create probably an influx of clients for us as well whenever they do that.
Thank you.
Chris, I know it was probably a couple of years ago that we were getting updates, and I think it was coming from OCDD about in our committee meeting about the sheltered workshops. They were going through each one of them and doing some work. And now with the pandemic, I don't know, it probably the landscape has changed even more as far as them having those sheltered workshops. So maybe we need to ask for an update about that. I think that's something we need to follow up with.
That sounds good. Thanks, Mary.
Okay. We'll work on that. All right. Does anybody else have any other questions for Melissa? Okay. The next thing on the agenda is some of the contractual activities which are on our action plan. So we'll get Marilee and Courtney to give us updates.
Good morning, everyone. I will give you guys the first update for Education and Employment, and that is on our initiative hiring individuals with developmental disabilities. So in this last quarter, O'Neill Communications they finalized their campaign to create inclusive employment opportunities for people with disabilities, and then really to provide businesses and employers on how-to strategies for recruiting, hiring, retaining individuals with disabilities in an inclusive work environment. They titled their campaign Working Together. There are 10 webinars that are going to happen, one in each of LDH's regions, and they're 60 minutes each. We're partnering with the local chambers of commerce, LRS, and Louisiana Workforce Commission. The webinars are presented by Gordon O'Neill, and so he is with O'Neill Communications, the contractor that the council chose, and he specializes in disability advocacy and issues. And Jeff Arsenault, who is an inclusive employment consultant. I'm sure a lot of us recognize his name, and they are doing that together. So thus far, regions 2, 3, 7, and 8, and 5 are completely finalized, being scheduled, registration is open so that you can register, and most of those are held in April and May. Region 5 is in June. O'Neill has created a site where you can go and see what the initiative's about, and you can register for these webinars. And that site is linked on our website, both under our initiatives. If you are able to navigate our website, you can find it under the initiatives, but to make it easy, we also have a banner up that you can just click on our homepage. And the remaining regions, 1, 10, 4, 6, and 9 are still being scheduled. It's a bit of a process working with the chambers of commerce and getting everybody on board. And we've had a lot of help from Melissa and different people like that, working with Gordon O'Neill. So we really appreciate that. And I am open if there's any questions.
The webinars that are scheduled, how are they in other areas? How is it getting out to the businesses? Just is the Chamber of Commerce sending out the information out to the businesses to register? Is that how the audience is getting? How would they know?
Yes, so the chambers of commerce have different events, employment events. So essentially, once we get them on board, our event becomes one of their events, and it's publicized the same way that they publicize all of their different employment events that they have and things like that. We also pushed out an LADDC news on this, and then that was promoted on our Facebook and our Twitter, which our Facebook has a pretty good following. Our Twitter's a good bit lower, but they were both pushed out on both of our social media platforms. And then there will be additional social media posts, kind of standalone posts that aren't linked to an LADDC news on those seminars.
So the other regions that haven't been scheduled will have to be finished and scheduled.
Can you repeat that?
Before the end of this year? I was asking about the other regions that haven't been scheduled. This contract, when would they have to be scheduled by to be completed for this year?
So this activity,
Like, do they have till the end of this year, or is it?
I'm sorry, Miss Mary. I keep thinking you're glitching on my end, so I keep thinking
No,
you're
go ahead.
finished. And then I'm gonna talk. So this activity and the other ones that Courtney is gonna update you on fall within the FFY 2021 action plan. So that runs until September 30th, 2021. So technically their drop dead date would be September 30th, 2021. But it's the goal and the timeline is to have these finished about a month or so before then. And then the contractor will spend the remaining month or two in his contractual obligation, making those final reports and data and statistics and things like that for the council to look at and be able to see how effective we thought the initiative was and stuff like that. But so it's 1, 2, 3, it's 5 regions left. I mean, I feel pretty good that they're gonna get them done. There's been a little bit of pushback in a couple of different regions, not wanting to participate. And our contractor is very diligent in staying on top of that. So that's been a little bit of a hurdle. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you. All right, does anybody have any questions about the seminar on hiring individuals? Okay, what about the update for the Louisiana Post-Secondary Inclusive Education Alliance?
I'm sorry, Mary. Tamisha raised her hand. I think she has a question.
Okay, go ahead, Tamisha.
I have a question for Marylee. I'm not sure if you know or not, but I just wanted to ask, what are the regions that were pushing back, that they met some resistance in? If we just could, have a little more understanding on, which ones weren't on board.
Right. So the New Orleans area, the person at their Chamber of Commerce wasn't real keen on it. I'd have to get exactly with Gordon on who he spoke to in the New Orleans area. But the takeaway was that he communicated that they just don't do things like that. They're more, he made it sound like it was sort of more social things that they do at the Chamber of Commerce in the New Orleans area. So we talked through that. We kind of spoke with some other people at the Chamber of Commerce to see if we could get traction that way. And then I talked to him about reaching out, maybe with other, like I mentioned LRS in the New Orleans area, just another avenue that seminar, that 60-minute seminar for the New Orleans area could still be held in case the Chamber of Commerce ultimately did not want to participate, just sort of as a backup plan.
All right.
So yeah, I'm open to suggestions or to passing along suggestions. If you guys have any or thoughts or anything like that.
I would have to brainstorm some things, right now, but off the top of my head, but I do want to stress the importance. I think that it's important for New Orleans to get on, or for us to have some type of involvement there, because there is a large population of kids with disabilities there, and which also ultimately become adults, with the same disabilities and needing that employment. And so I think it's unfortunate that they're not, but it's some type of way for us to be able to reach, like you said, partnering with someone else, LRS, or finding a way to get out to, the community, because, or even finding out what's the barrier, or maybe giving them another alternative of how things would look and how important it is to, have that out for them. And that's a plus for the, Chamber of Commerce, if you ask me.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically doing the work for them to get information out there. Maybe, you know, a different take on what he's looking at. I'm not sure, but off the top of my head, that's all I can come up with unless someone else, you know.
I agree with all that. And we'll stay on it and do the best and kind of go through all those options. I agree.
Thank you.
Mary, Miss Sue Killam has her hand raised, and there's a comment in the chat as well.
Okay, Miss Sue.
Yeah, well, I guess, Mary Lee, I was wondering about like how lots of us who are our home bases in New Orleans, we have a lot of connections with a lot of employers and a lot of large employers and a lot of business organizations. And I mean, just the New Orleans Chamber is probably not even as big as the Jefferson Chamber of Commerce. They kind of have the greater metropolitan area. And then we have Greater New Orleans Inc., which is huge. And we all use them for almost all new employment initiatives to do outreach to employers. I mean, I know they have helped us get people hired at HDC. They have helped hire people with disabilities. They've helped provide internships. So maybe I'm wondering when they come to some of these barriers, how they're using existing agencies that do, like, that's all my division does, is establish connections with employers. And that's pretty much all LRS does. So I think it's not like we could give a big list, but we could help provide some feedback to them if they were getting stuck somewhere. I just wanted to offer that.
I think that's awesome. I really appreciate that. I'm also very excited that you said my name correctly. I think you might be the only person in the history of me working here that's ever said my name correctly. But I really appreciate that. And if it's okay with you, can I connect you and Gordon via email?
Sure.
Okay, that'd be great. So that's what I'll do.
Help.
Thank you. Really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Mary, would you like for me to read the chat? If anybody, if nobody else has any other comments.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Susan from Southwest Louisiana says, I did the information about this on the Facebook page. I shared it on the Families Helping Families Southwest Louisiana page. You have to click through several links to register. We will help get the info out. Perhaps a more direct link could be used. And Tamisha Victorian says that I agree with the use of a more direct link. Thank you, Miss Susan.
Okay, so I will communicate that and we'll get that done. The way it works at the moment is if you're on our website and you click the banner, it takes you to a page that tells you all about the initiative. And then at the bottom of that page is a link that takes you to the dates and regions to register. So usually we have all that on one page. So if we put it on one page, that would reduce the link by one. I think is that a solution that you guys like? I'm not sure of a shorter way other than that, but I like that idea if you guys do.
Can you explain that one more time? I'm sorry.
No, it's confusing to me, Misha. Have you been on our website?
Yes.
Okay, so for most of our initiatives, they're on our site, right? And so under education and employment, we'll have like all of our education initiatives. Generally, how we do it is you click on a link that says, I'm going to use the intimacy training for people with disabilities. You would click on that link, I think that's under health, and it would take you to a page that describes the initiative and then has all the dates and times and the link to register. And you would click on whichever one you wanted to register. So in other words, on one page is that the description and the place to register for the one you want to go to. For this particular initiative, we did not make the page. The contractor, this is part of what they do, is they make pages, they make little sites microsites and they wanted to make their own site. And so they did. And they made it, essentially they have 2 pages. One page explains the initiative, and then you have to click on a different page to register. So that's the main difference. So I think whenever the suggestion is a more direct link, my thought would be to do it like we do most of our other initiatives, where the description and the ability to register is on one page. If that makes sense.
Yes, doing it that way or even putting the hyperlink in within it. Is that how it's designed pretty much?
The hyperlink to register.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's how it is. Yes.
And could a flyer or something like that be done to where that can be posted or promoted or pushed out, individually?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And have the hyperlink inside the kind of like we do with the agendas, how, and it's highlighted and
right.
Like just one click. Because when I think about it, honestly, if I'm a parent or a person with a disability looking to, find information, after a couple of clicks and I'm having to search down,
right.
We may not be reading through all of that. You know what I'm saying? So the easier, the better, just to be able to, get it out there.
Yes. I will work on that for sure.
Real quick, just going back to what Sue had to say in terms of different avenues to think about employment opportunities, and kind of going back to a lot of the rules and regs that I've been reading that are kind of being reinvigorated under the new administration. There is Section 503 under the Rehab Act, which most people know for it basically saying that employers are not allowed to discriminate against people with disabilities, specifically federal contractors and some subcontractors, which is what most individuals know. What it also says is that if you're a contractor or subcontractor of a federal program or a federal project, that you actually are required to take affirmative action to recruit, hire, and promote and retain individuals with disabilities. And there's a lot of specifics. I can't remember the details of it. Most of these places don't even know about it, or they ignore it, or been allowed to ignore it. There's not a lot of teeth behind it, but what you can do, I did this in Michigan years ago, is there's a website you can go to and you can put in like a zip code, some zip code in Louisiana, and it'll give you a list of every single contractor and subcontractor of federal contractor and subcontractor. And that's just an entire list of businesses and corporations that are bound by Section 503 and should have an affirmative action plan to recruit, hire, promote, and retain people with disabilities. They're likely not doing it. But it's another good place to kind of give some nudges and remind corporations and businesses of their obligations to people with disabilities.
Thank you for that. That's very helpful. Will you email that to me,
Sure.
the link or something like that, and I can share it with Gordon.
Will do.
Thank you.
Chris, if you don't mind, can you put that link in the chat? I think that'd be a good information for everybody.
Sure. I was kind of doing it off the top of my head. I'm sure there's an FAQ out there. I'll Google it real quick. I know there's tons of stuff on it. Oh, I think I found it. Okay.
Thanks. That sounds like some promising avenues for the webinars to get out. So I appreciate that. Are there any other questions or comments?
Ms. Tamara Crane has a question in the chat. She says, I have a question about employing individuals with disability and pay affecting benefits. I don't know if she wants to speak.
I didn't hear you fully, Ebony. There was some background noise on someone's mic. Is it a question for me?
Well,
This is Tamara. Can y'all hear me?
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
So my name's Tamara Crane, and I do have a business that I employ people with disabilities. And one thing that I'm recently encountering, and I kind of know like Social Security is going to be the main place to maybe go to, but just from experience, we just did a pay increase for this person because their job and their work is supports it. And so now she's like, well, I can't work because I'm going to make too much money. So now she's like, I need to work less hours. And now we're getting less productivity out of her because we're paying her more because her productivity was there. But yet she's saying, so I'm kind of at a loss. And I'm like, well, now you're not doing the work we need you to do. So why am I paying you this much? Because I'm just kind of going down a spiral here.
So there's programs in the state called WIPA programs, Work Incentive Planning Assistance. Okay. So we have one. You can contact either the HDC, depending on where you're located, or Disability Rights Louisiana. We have specialists, and it takes like a certification, it takes about a year-long certification. You have to do continuing education, but this is exactly what they do. They navigate what is an incredibly complex list of rules, typically by Social Security and Medicaid, to try and figure out how an individual can maintain benefits while still working. Because not because we're trying to cheat the system, but because those benefits oftentimes, particularly Medicaid, is not offered. Well, through Medicaid, you get certain types of special supports and services that are not ever given to you by employer-based insurance. So get a hold of a WIPA, W-I-P-A. Again, you'll find that there are two programs in the state of Louisiana that have these. One is the HDC, the other is Disability Rights Louisiana. And then give that information to your employer, and they'll do an in-depth analysis of their benefits, their pay, and then kick out reports and then walk them through, how they can best maximize their income, their employment, while still maintaining benefits. That's a huge, huge problem.
Okay, thank y'all.
So Chris.
Thank you.
I looked in that link that you sent, but I don't see the list of employers. And then I tried to click a link that said Employment Resource Referral Directory to find it.
Yeah.
But the link doesn't work.
I will, that was just, so I thought you just wanted like the details on section 503. I'll look and figure out where that list is and what website.
Okay, great.
Kind of federal government website with all the contractors' names.
Hey, do we have any other comments or questions before we move on to, sorry, Hayden is listening to Northwestern fight song and playing his drum. Before we move on. All right, I think the next thing on the agenda was the Post-Secondary Inclusive Education Alliance. Do we get started with that?
Sure. Marilee, is it okay if I give the update on that?
It's your initiative and you're on the agenda.
Thank you. All right. So as you all know, or I hope you are all familiar, that Dr. Jerlinda Beckers with Southeast Louisiana University has the contract for this initiative. And so she and I have been talking recently, and she was able to provide the update that you can actually see on your status report, which is linked to our website. So they have been strategically planning for things to occur during the spring and summer semesters, I guess you can say. They want to do a monthly newsletter, which covers several topics, which includes interviews with already established post-secondary programs that are in Louisiana. They want to give updates on how the Alliance is dealing with the COVID-19 restrictions. They want to give day-to-day challenges, or want to list the day-to-day challenges in running an inclusive transition program. They want to update their frequently asked questions sections, and they want to give resources and feature certain programs because not all programs are exactly alike. So they want to make sure that each of the programs kind of have, you know, their own show, so to speak. They are going to continue with conducting Zoom meetings across the state to recruit for the Alliance and to recruit for new programs to be initiated. And they also want to set up training webinars for the Alliance. So the majority of the Alliance is comprised of personnel from the universities or campuses that are providing an inclusive program or are interested in providing an inclusive program. And unfortunately, as we all know, there is turnover within every employment. So the Bossier Parish Community College, which had a program or has a program that's certified, the lady that was running that program for them is no longer with them. So this kind of spearheaded Dr. Beckers to want to create something that trains the Alliance members to get them up to speed, get them more informed so that they are on the same page with each other and that they are able to conduct more outreach on their own versus it all being, you know, the burden on Dr. Beckers and this specific initiative. So she's already got those in the works. And also just to give an update on the programs, the new inclusive post-secondary education programs, Louisiana State University at Alexandria has successfully conducted fundraising and is on track to start their post-secondary inclusive education program for the fall 2021 semester. Grambling State University is still in the process of submitting the appropriate documents for grants for them to start the development of their program. And then also Southern University has also initiated contact with Dr. Beckers for them to begin the process. So we kind of have 3 different universities at different stages of the game, so to speak. We've got one that's almost finished with completing or finalizing for them to actually begin their project, their program. Then we've got one that's still in the process of developing it. And then we've got one that's just now starting the process. So that's an update with that initiative for right now. Do we have any questions?
Bambi has her hand raised.
I just want to add on yesterday or maybe day before yesterday, lose track of the days, I connected someone with ULM with Dr. Beckers, a professor at ULM that is interested in having a program there. So that, I mean, that's all there is. So, but there was a connection there and an interest.
Thank you for that. I had not heard that yet. Anyone else?
Miss Nicole Banks has her hand raised, and there's a question in the chat from Miss Sue Killam.
Okay, so once, like you said, there are 3 different universities that's up in the process of getting this this program underway. Do they have a certain timeline or a deadline that they have to meet in order to get the funding, or is already just allocated and whoever, it's like a first come, first serve thing?
Okay, so you're talking about for applying for the grant to start a program?
Yeah, because you said they were in the process, like 2 of them, like Southern was just not reaching out. You said Grambling was in the process, but LSU was already, you know, already got their stuff up and running and the program was going.
Right. So with Grambling, there is a deadline to submit applications for grants. And so unfortunately, they had actually just missed the previous deadline. So they'll have to wait until the next opening to submit their application again.
So that'd be the same with, that'd be the same with Southern and ULM if ULM decides to come on also, right? So they would just have to wait until the next
correct
deadline.
Correct.
Do we know when those deadlines are? They just know.
I don't know personally, but if that's something that we need to collect, information we need to get, then I can ask Dr. Beckers to get that.
Yeah, just so that we can know like when they have to get things up and running and, you know, just so we can know where they are in the process or whatever, just to keep us updated on everything.
Sure. And y'all just forgive me. I'm just writing down some notes real quick.
Yeah, I think people sometimes get confused when we say the word grant, that they think that that's money, but it really is about granting them permission to have the program, right?
Correct.
Yeah, it's not
Oh.
financial, it's not money, it's that they're being an approval to have that certain type of program.
Correct. And then they have to, or our initiative is for them to become certified, for it to be a certified transition program. So it's not a quick, easy thing. If a university or college wants to just start a program, there's an actual legal process that they have to go through in order to start that program. And then the school has to do fundraising, which is like what I said about LSU Alexandria. They've just about completed their fundraising for them to be able to fully fund their program to start in the fall semester.
But Courtney, actually, they don't have to do fundraising. That's the way LSUA is doing it. I think other universities, like UL Lafayette, which my son attends, he just pays regular tuition. So they pay the tuition that any other full-time student would pay there. In the university, it depends on the university, perhaps the university invests some of their money into this program to help support the operations of the program in addition to the tuition that's being paid. And every university's tuition is different, so that makes a difference. So that funding comes in different ways dependent, but that university has to figure out how they're gonna pay for it, or how they're gonna be able to afford to have that program operating.
And like Ms. Polizzola just stated, and like I stated earlier, every program is different. I don't know that there's one that's exactly alike within the state of Louisiana. Maybe Bossier Parish and Baton Rouge community colleges might be similar. But like I said, the universities or the colleges have their discretion on how they want to set it up, but they still have to go through the appropriate approvals to get that up and running. I still see hands raised for Ms. Banks and Ms. Polizzola. Oh no, okay. Ms. I believe Ms. Victorian has her hand raised. Mary?
Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry. Did Miss Sue have her hand raised before? I'm sorry. I don't want to. I can let Miss Sue talk. Go ahead.
Miss Berry, who would you like to speak? Apparently, we have Miss Killam and Miss Victorian with their hands raised.
Okay, Tamisha.
Okay, thank you, Miss Mary. I guess a quick thing I want to point out, because I had to step away a few minutes. So I missed a little bit about what Bambi had said, but I just want to, recognize with us mentioning these entities when it comes down to HBCUs and some community colleges who may not have the same type of support to get a program like this up and running, that we realize that there are certain barriers, and it's not just a funding issue, but also a resource and a staff issue at times when you compare a larger university to, something that is much smaller, and getting that up and running and them having barriers to meeting those deadlines. I'm new to a lot of this, but I would like some transparency about some things being explored to see when those deadlines aren't met, what are the issues that they're having, so we can, moving forward, we can have some type of resolution to see if there's something that can be helped to those universities so they're not excluded, because that could become a problem later on down the line if we're not doing the collection of finding out what's causing us them to meet those deadlines, because we want everybody to have a fair shot at the table, regardless of the size of the university or other areas of disparities. So just to make it a fair process, I think we need to look at possibly following those trends and collecting that to see what's happening, why, or because we want every college to be able to provide or have a program if necessary. And I think, collecting something like that would, kind of help to look into the barriers that's being created. Thank y'all.
No, thank you, Ms. Victorian, and I will absolutely pass this along to Dr. Beckers. And then I believe there's something in the chat. Is there any progress on including a college program in Region 5, which is the Lake Charles region? And I believe it is Dr. Becker's intent to do another, what did she call it? Town hall meeting. Before COVID happened, a town hall meeting had been done in North Louisiana, which is how Grambling and LSUA got initiated with starting the process. And then COVID happened and the South Louisiana town hall meeting did not occur because it was in person. So I believe she's trying to get something where it's virtual or hopefully maybe in person beginning around the fall semester for South Louisiana. And hopefully that will garner some more interest in the Southern Louisiana universities and colleges. Okay. It looks like we have some more hands raised. I just want to make sure Ms. Palazzola and Ms. Killam.
I think
Is
Sue
that
had her hand up first.
Just making sure.
Yeah, for a little while and in the chat a couple of times, but so I want to just clarify, is this initiative just for certified transition programs? Because that's all you're talking about. CTPs.
Well, it's
Or
for,
is it for post-secondary education alliances?
it's for post-secondary inclusive education programs, correct?
Right. So we're just talking about the CTP programs right now.
Well,
Because there are a bunch of other post-secondary opportunities that we haven't, some that we have here and some that we could have here. I mean, the ARC, for example, Autism Now has a huge post-secondary education alliance. And they actually, it's not CTP, it's not based on that model. So I'm wondering if there's anybody that's kind of exploring the other models that are available around the country and are best practice and evidence-based. CTP is one for sure. And it does have pretty specific guidelines. I put a link in the chat so people could go there to Think College. That's sort of the body that oversees all the certified transition programs and helps with the development of them. So there's already like a national, not a clearinghouse, but that's all they do. If you go there, you can really dig into what other states are doing and how they develop and how the funding works and how people can apply and who can collaborate with either community colleges or universities to get these. The programs have to be at, within that university or that community college. Some of the other programs that are available that are post-secondary focused is like ours, Paycheck. But then we also have a new one coming up with Families Helping Family NOLA, which is a coding program for youth with autism. And it involves post-secondary training at a coding training partner. So we're looking, and then there's others all around the country that we could help give you some information on that if you all, were interested.
Okay. So Ms. Killam, with the Paycheck program, are you guys not on the Alliance? Are y'all
I've never gotten an email about it. I would think that we would be. We've gotten, I know people know us. The governor's office has us usually talk. We're the one person at the table that's not a CTP. But we're always happy to go and talk about how to develop a post-secondary option for people. I mean, ours is in partnership with the school system and LRS. But and the coding program is in partnership with, will be in partnership with LRS and some community training programs that are authorized under the Louisiana Workforce Commission. So I think it's not that I feel excluded. I always get to talk, except today I tried to be sit back a bit. But yeah, I just think there's other things too that would be interesting to add to this repertoire of things that students could do when they leave high school or think about as they're leaving high school. Some people don't want to, I've had a couple of people here that, thought they wanted to go to university, but when they couldn't do it in town, they didn't want to leave and go to like the Lafayette program or just because they are the Southeastern program, just because they didn't want to leave their community. So Yeah, I've never gotten an email about a meeting or anything like that, but I'd be happy to.
I will make
more
sure.
happy to- Thank you.
Oh yeah, not a problem. I'll make sure that that connection occurs. Thank you, Ms. Killam.
You're welcome.
Okay, I believe Ms. Palazzola's hand is raised.
Yeah, I just had 2 points. Sue, I know that you're listed, your program's listed on there on the website for LA Pi. So I don't know if you've been connected, but you're there listed as a program. But the other thing is in regards to the comment that was made earlier that triggered something. I believe my understanding of many of these programs, the way that they started, for instance, LSU and Alexandria, that was started from parents going to the university asking. I know the LIFE program, that was started from parents in Lafayette asking for this program. And so I think it's twofold, that we need to advocate to our local universities or community college systems and ask them to look into having these programs. But the other issue is to what Tamisha had brought up in regards to kind of some disparities at our post-secondary institutions. And when I think about that, the people who's going to advocate, or the parents who are going to advocate for this opportunity, are likely to be people who attended college themselves, or have some connections to university. So we have to remember that while that is one avenue, this other avenue is that that we make a connection to our universities, because another component is that we have some really great advocates that work within our university systems. And so we got to look at it as a two-pronged approach, but I encourage advocates for people with disabilities to reach out to your local post-secondary institutions and talk to them about this.
Thank you, Ms. Palazzola. Ms. Bayham, I think your hand is raised.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention something kind of similar to what Sue was saying. So I had mentioned to Dr. Beckers that LRS was interested in being at the table simply as a resource. And I'm not sure if someone on my staff has been contacted, but I know I have not. Because I don't think when you're trying to develop a program, I think it's very important that you know all your funding sources. And LRS is a funding source for approved certified transition programs. So if you meet with her, I mean, you just may want to make sure that she's connecting with either myself or someone on my staff, because I think that's an important piece. If I was going to be developing a program, I think that would be an important thing to know.
I can absolutely do that as well. And I believe I have asked her about this before. And because she was working with particular colleges or universities in certain regions, I think she was asking for those regional offices.
And she may have, I'm
right. But if you're saying that you would prefer to be contacted directly, then no.
As long as she's contacting someone, but if it's somebody who is not already a CTP program, it's probably going to be better someone at state office to answer for questions.
All right, I'm sorry, I've been distracted with Hayden. Are there any other questions? Are there any comments that I can't see the chat box?
Let's see.
No comments.
Okay, thank you, Ebony. All right, so the next thing on the agenda is for the customized employment training, which is activity 5.1.3.
So that's me again. All right, so previously we had 5 employment support professionals who had started the job development certification mentoring process. But unfortunately, due to COVID and closures or turnover, there are now just 2 of those ESPs who are still on track to complete that certification mentoring through Mark Golden Associates. However, we are actually conducting, starting yesterday and today, a new Discovery Gateway training for employment support professionals. And we're doing that virtually instead of it being done in person. So those professionals will have 6 half days during this month to attend that Gateway training. Once they finish the Gateway training, they will then qualify to begin the certification mentoring process for that particular component, which is Discovery right now. And so we're paying for the Discovery Gateway, we're paying for certification mentoring for Discovery, and then we're also going to be developing the Job Development Gateway to be conducted probably August. And then we'll be able to also assist those individuals with completing certification mentoring for job development. So then we will have individuals who have had the opportunity to go through a Discovery Gateway, the Discovery Certification Mentoring process, the Job Development Gateway, and the Job Development Certification Mentoring process. So by the time they finish these 2 components, there will be, hopefully, or it is our intent that there will be a slew of employment support professionals who are ready to start the systematic instruction component of customized employment. And unfortunately, that has to be done in person. So that's why Mark Golden Associates has not offered that since because of COVID. Also, we are readily waiting for LSU Human Development Center to become a trainer in customized employment as well. So hopefully, again, by the time these individuals have gone through all of these steps to finish Discovery and job development components, they'll be ready to start systematic instruction. And I hate to put you on the spot, Ms. Sue, but do you happen to have any updates? Okay, I see your hand raised. Yes, ma'am. Your mic's muted. I'm sorry.
Okay, sorry. I clicked it, but it didn't catch. So there are 5 of us that are going through the Train the Trainer with University of South Florida through LRS and University of South Florida. And we just got our referrals. So we're actually completing, we're halfway through Discovery with the clients right now. And we're working with the local VR counselors that referred, and we have somebody in the north that has a referral there. And then we have 4 of us doing some clients here. We should be done. We want to be done placement by July. And then I think we're talking about starting the training with USF in August. And if I'm off, I'm not off by much. It might be September or something. And it really, I mean, we're farther ahead than University of South Florida wasn't going to be able to come here. So we figured a way to do it virtually. So we should be good by the end of the summer, the beginning of the fall.
Thank you for that update.
No problem.
Miss Mary, I believe Miss Bayham has her hand raised.
Okay, Melissa?
I just had a quick question for Sue. Angela had mentioned this to me, that we needed an update on this. Because I know things changed with your training with the University of South Florida. You know, COVID, it just messed up everything, didn't it? So are y'all still going to receive training from USF on systematic instruction?
Yeah, yes. So yeah, all of that. We are now meeting with them again monthly. Our next meeting is, I have to look at my calendar, but so we've set a regular every Thursday morning, once a month, bi-weekly actually, and then we're going to switch to once a month. So we have another meeting coming up next week. Yeah, we're on track to do all of that. And I thought as I was talking that I'm quite sure that maybe Tammy hadn't updated you and maybe I should have updated you. I've been talking with Angela, and now we're talking with the local counselors that Charlene and the regional manager in Shreveport have passed along to their counselors to get a customized employment referral.
Yeah, I knew we were on track with the referrals. I just wanted to make sure that we were on track with the systematic instruction piece, because I think that's a critical component.
Oh, yeah.
And as we're making sure that we're developing our manual material, we don't want to put that systematic instruction as required if that was not going to be a part of your the certification training through USF. So I just want
Yeah,
to
all the components. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Thank you, ladies. Are there any other questions about the customized employment training?
There's a comment in the chat from Miss Kelly Monroe. She says there are 15 people in the Discovery Gateway training.
Good deal. So if those 15 employment support professionals finish the Discovery Gateway and they conduct the certification mentoring, they will also be eligible for us to fully fund them through job development, gateway, and certification mentoring as well. So this is good news. Anything else?
Thank you for the updates on these activities and the work that's been done. So I appreciate that. Okay, are there any announcements? Okay. Well, then I guess, are there any other comments or anything that we need to cover before we adjourn? Okay, well, would somebody make a motion to adjourn?
You don't need one, Miss Mary.
Oh, I don't? Okay. Well, thank you for telling me that.
We just need consent. Yes, ma'am.
All right. Well, thank y'all very, very much for being on this meeting today. And we had quorum, and so we're going to have real summary meeting and everything. So I'm very excited. Yes, thank you, everybody. So we will talk soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.